Hello, I'm John Cole Morgan. I am very excited to bring you this installment of Voices in Cloth with Danel Muller. Danel, it's so lovely to have you.
Thank you, John. It's a privilege to be here.
Oh, a privilege is mine. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where in South Africa are you from?
I'm currently in Pretoria, that is in Gauteng in South Africa. So, yeah, this is where I live and work and teach.
Fantastic. And how long have you been quilting for?
John, I started my first quilting experience was 2008.
Okay.
Um, it was just after my mom passed away, and I went through a little bit of emotional dip. And my sister Iselda towed me to the um, uh,
Twisted your
quilt
rubber arms.
festival, and I had absolutely a fantastic time there.
Oh, good. It was a very interesting. I don't know if you've heard of the quilter Jenny Doan from Missouri Star Quilt Company in America. She did a
I
talk
have not.
She did a talk in the UK and she said that in her experience, 70% of quilters come to quilting through loss, and that loss is either a death or health problems, which
Yeah,
I think is very true. I'm very sorry about your mom passing.
that's yeah, that is where I started, and it was. I mean, I've been going now for more than 20 years and haven't looked back
I'm
one
so
second.
happy for you. That's wonderful. What's been your favorite quilt that you've made?
I think the one behind me here is La Four. It
I
is
hadn't realized that was a quilt. I thought that was a painting. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think it is my. It was for the I think 2011 the IQ SA challenge. It was free to express. Because I come from a musical background, I always felt that Piaf with her hands is such a wonderful expression of um, freedom to express. And yeah, so that quilt is
It's
probably my favorite.
magnificent. It's magnificent. I honestly, genuinely didn't realize that was a quilt. I thought it was a painting. It's stunning. You're a very talented lady.
Thank you, John.
Do you enter these into quilt? Did you enter that into the competition? How did it do?
It was on the, as I say, not on the National Quilt Festival, but it was on IQLC. So yeah, it was on an exhibition, and it was I think they chose a short list of 30, and it was part of that.
Wow, I can see why. Gosh, are you entering anything this year into festival?
John, I'm not. I did the quilt for Voices in Cloth, and I'm also making. We have a teachers South African Teachers Challenge. I will make a quilt for that, but my time has been not well allocated this year to make
Oh, I
a
don't
big
think that's
festival.
fair. I don't think that's fair. I think just life has gotten so busy of late, and the Teacher Challenge sounds amazing. I can't wait to see what all of you girls have come up with the books. I think it's
Yeah,
fantastic. Ironically, I'm entering a quilted festival, which I've used a book title. I didn't realize you had the Teacher's Challenge on, so I use this book title as a bit of a tongue-in-cheek, naughty thing to say and do. I hadn't realized that the teachers were doing a book thing. It's a very clever series. Are you going to
yeah.
festival this year?
I am going to festival. I'm not teaching, but I am doing some demonstrations. The other thing I'm doing for festival is I'm doing a talk on how to use music as an inspiration for quilting. Um, it
Because I can
is
gather with the Edith Piaf behind you, the piece that you submitted, music is a big part of your life.
is a big part of my life. I used to sing opera, and
You sang opera. How many
yes,
talents do you have?
yeah, it is my love for music that actually I want to. It means a lot for me to be able to use music as an inspiration because I find that a lot of quilters sort of start enthusiastically and then they lose steam because they've sort of made all the quilts they wanted. And I think we have to look out of quilting sometimes to find really nice um, subjects
But it's the
inspire
inspiration.
us.
It can dry up
Yeah.
if you're just doing all of that. Now, I have to say,
So
Danel, please switch to Afrikaans when you're ready, because I'm ready to try and use the Afrikaans as best I can. Just apologies to
I'm
anybody
trying.
who heard you. You're doing brilliantly. I am the one who's going to embarrass myself with the language. So, yeah, praat Afrikaans as jy wil, ek gee. How did you come to the decision to take part in this project of mine?
I must say, you were the inspiration, because
What?
I've been following your podcasts and everything, and you are so nicely. And I thought, this is a worthy project. I will support you.
You are so kind. Thank you. Because I've been overwhelmed with the kindness of all the South African quilters like yourself. It's been extraordinary. I wanted 100. I never dreamed we could get to 250. I never dreamed it was possible.
Yes, we procrastinate,
That's all right.
but we get there at the
You
end.
deliver, that's for sure. So tell us a little bit about your piece. You've called it Hallelujah.
Yes, once again, going back to music, it's voices in cloth. So for me, people of the cloth are active in church service, and part of my Christian belief system is also then that choral choristers and the way they sing, and yeah, it just came together very beautifully. In
And it's a,
2017, I visited Ireland with my sister, and we went up to Kylemore Abbey, which is most probably one of the most beautiful chapels I've been in my life. And that has this round window prominently behind the pulpit, and I could just see these boys standing there and singing.
oh, and it's
And then if you
gorgeous.
sing in a chapel, it has to be a hallelujah.
Definitely. And I think there's something very special about hearing choirs in these amazing churches. Because having moved to
Yes,
the UK, one of the things that I love the most is going to listen to something called evensong. So around about
yes, yes.
5:30 in the evening on certain days, you've got the choirs practicing and you've got these and churches and cathedrals and these amazing religious buildings, the acoustics, the sound that you get, it literally vibrates into your soul. It's phenomenal. So when you just,
I agree with that. And I think that that is my inspiration, but it's also uh, uh, the way I would like to inspire other people is with positive,
mm,
you know, positive things. Try again. It is the positive things that inspire other people.
it really is. And faith is such a positive influence on so many people's lives. It's a really wonderful, and I think nowadays it's almost frowned upon in some places to have faith and to have a positive image on faith. And it's lovely to see that you carry that on, and it's really inspiring for so many people.
Thank you, John.
And I think a lot of people will be jealous of your relationship with God, and it's a wonderful thing to have. And I'm pleased that you and yours are doing the same thing. It's wonderful.
Thank you, John. I do appreciate that.
No, we appreciate you. So what do you think will happen with this project? I know I've asked everybody this question to kind of just see, it's almost like a little bingo card, who gets the right answer along the way. But what does this project mean to you?
Um, it was a lovely, fun project. I have made a vow not to buy any fabric because I have more fabric than I will ever use in my life.
I heard a wonderful
So
expression, stash exceeds life expectancy.
yes, I'm a sable. But so I am recycling a lot. And one of the recycles I did in this project is I have some doilies that my grandmother still crocheted, and I'm not really a doily person, so I don't have doilies hanging or sitting on my shelves in my house. But I also don't want to just trash it because I can't. Part of my grandmother, and some of the doilies were, broken in pieces. but I was able to make it's like a bib that the boys wear around their necks, and I was able to make some of that from the recycled doilies.
How long ago did she make those?
Well, she died in 1974,
Wow.
so it was way before that.
50 years at least. Oh, how special. And it's wonderful that we have a little bit of her in this project. And was she also South African?
She was South African. She was a very faithful woman,
Mm.
and I think that she would have been thrilled to be part of this project.
Oh, that's very special. Well, I'm thrilled she is part of it. Thank you. Do you think there's anything about South African quilters that make them different to quilters from around the world?
John, I would say our persistence, we have a will to succeed. People that came to South Africa initially came as a movement to get out of Europe. And historically, they were the rebels and the pushers. And I think that is basically why South African women, that is the way we do things. The Afrikaans ladies, we all have a grandmother that went over the Drakensberg barefooted. So it gives us a little bit of, I mean, if we could do that, we can finish a quilt.
Gosh, that's a wonderful way of looking at it. 70 years ago, not one person in the world had hot water in their home.
That's correct.
And if you think about it, and they may have even said 50 years ago that there wasn't. And I just thought to myself, what an extraordinary thing. But it is true that, if you look back just 30 years, there was no internet. There was very
Yes.
little internet. And you just think how the world changes and how we forget where we've come from. You just imagine yourself, gosh, how did my grandparents would never have had hot water to shower with? And you just think
They
that's
didn't have
extraordinary.
showers.
Exactly. You didn't have, it's just for me, it's been interesting seeing how different perspectives change over the decades and the millennia and, things
Yes.
that we've all gone through. And just thinking about it, you're quite right. You're only probably, what, 3, 4 generations from the Drakensberg, walking across the Drakensberg. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we are in South Africa now since 1751.
Wow.
So
So you
my
were
first,
right at the very beginning.
yeah.
What a special thing to have. Who do you actually make quilts for?
Um, John, I make quilts. Obviously, I have 3 sons and their wives, and I have 7 grandchildren. So,
Congratulations.
so I try to every other year, I sort of go through the motion of going through the whole family. And I'm actually busy with a quilt for my youngest son at the moment because he said to me, Mom, it's been 17 years and I need a new quilt.
Oh, I
So
love the fact
he's,
that he still wants another one. That's wonderful.
yes. So I do a lot of quilts for the kids. And then because I'm actively teaching at the moment, I run beginners courses in Pretoria for new quilters. And I must say that takes up a lot of my time. So at the moment, I'm just making samples of what I'm doing.
How are you getting new quilters?
John, because I won't say I'm not a master quilter. I am a accredited teacher, but I feel that there is quite a big gap for ladies that can sew but they can't quilt. And so I put together these table runners, and I teach them a couple of basic techniques and how to cut with a ruler and how to, so the basic things. I must say the Quilters Guilds in Pretoria, especially Jacaranda Quilters Guild, and also definitely the Centuria Quilters Mini Guild, send a lot of people to me that contact them. But I also run my own website, and I'm rather voicey on Facebook. Yeah, I will help somebody if they ask me. And now the classes are really going well. I'm simultaneously running 2 classes. Not a lot of people in the class, 6 people in the class, but it's so it is absolutely fantastic to know that I'm making a difference in these people's lives, and you know how you bond with other quilters, and you know just bring them into the quilting community, where there is so much love and so much respect for each other. And yeah, I am also very involved with children. I have two minor children doing class with me at the moment. We've had up to 18 kids at the Jacaranda meetings, previously, involved in different projects. Sometimes we worked with color, sometimes we worked, teaching them the skills, how to put a thread in a needle, and those basic things which I find they can't cut with scissors straight. And you teach them what the important points are to be able to cut straight, and that nobody can balance fabric and scissors in the air. So yeah, that for me is important, because if we don't teach the children when they're little still, they will never learn the love for fabric. And you might lose them going into a high school and then going into studies and being a young mum and working. But they will come back to quilting. They will come back to sewing if they learned the craft when they were little. So I like to say that you want to give a child a choice whether they want to do sewing or not.
But I think it reminds me of a quote where, I can't remember the beginning of it. It's basically the story of how men will plant trees which they'll never see the shadows of because they'll be long dead by the time they come. And what you're doing is very much like that. It's a case of you teach as many children as you can the project and the different ways of doing things, and you just know that later on they'll use it because they will. What do you wish somebody had told you when you first started quilting?
I don't think there's I was so lovingly coached by my sister and a lot of people around me. They actually told me a lot of things. I was really, really, really well looked after. I went through a series of teachers, and as I say, the loving support of my sister, who is also a very talented quilter. So I think I was one of the lucky ones.
What's next for you in your quilting journey then?
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the results I'm getting on the beginners classes. So I think online classes, because there are people that can't make it to my class. And even if it's just small and insignificant, it will be nice to have an online.
I need you to never say insignificant, because Danel, what you're doing is not insignificant on any level. You're not. And my classes, some of the most fun classes I've had is after one of the most hectic days. You look at your schedule, you go, oh, I've got a class now. Oh, rub it. There are only two people in the class, me and the student. And you have the best time because you get that one-on-one with people. So I prefer the smaller classes. You don't make any money, fine. But it's more a case of sharing your knowledge and doing that. It's really special and far from insignificant.
For me, it is not my main source of income, so that also makes a difference. I can basically give back without having to make the money to survive. So yeah, so I don't think it is. I can approach things differently.
There's a special thing about quilters, and I think the giving nature of them is really special. It really is.
Yes, and thanks for you and what you do as well, because
but I do it because of people like you. And I do it because people like you, all the people I know don't know you. They don't know the special person that you are, and they don't know what you're doing. And that's why this is so important to me, because I came to quilting because I had a mental health problem and I was really unwell and I needed to do something with my hands, and it literally saved my life. And the thing that
Yes.
made it worthwhile for me is every single journey, every quilt place I went to, these incredible women of a certain age, where society, rightly or wrongly, you hit a certain number and that number's different for every woman, and they disappear. They're invisible. They're not seen. And these women that I have met on my journey have been the kindest, most talented, enriching people I've ever known, like yourself. And you look at this and you think, how has the world let you become invisible? And that is why I do this, is because I need to show a tiny glimpse of each of you, to show people how special you are and how amazing what you're doing is. It's not just lappies and stitching. The community that you build and the life that you build, it is so important. And you've got a loving, wonderful, kind family that adore you, but they adore you for different reasons. They don't see the teacher you. They don't see the aspects of your life. They see you as mum. They see you as wife. They see you as Omar. They don't see the talent that's there. And that's why this project is the most special thing I've ever done, because for 5 minutes, I'm going to show people there's so much more to you than just that. So I know you're
Thank you.
thanking me, but I'm thanking you, because without you, this community wouldn't exist. And the work that you've all done for the years before I got here, it's unacknowledged. And that is the saddest thing of all, because you've worked so hard to create something that has changed so many people, and you don't see it. And as an outsider, I've got the joy of doing it, that I come in, I go into one quilt festival, and I've been to 15, 20 quilt festivals here. And the envelopment of love that I had from strangers who the hell's this bloody Morphe coming out of nowhere, taking over the bloody booking in facility? And the love that you received from the South African women, it made me realize why I regret leaving. And you girls are amazing.
Yeah, I can just tell you that yeah, it is amazing that if you are a quilter, you are able to see people and not men or women or
Gay or
black people,
straight or
or
white. Exactly.
we are quilters.
I wonder if
And
it's something
if you
about, sorry, I wonder if it's something about taking some beautiful piece of fabric and cutting it up into tiny little pieces and then stitching it back into a piece of fabric the same size you just cut up, that you're able to take it apart and see it for the beauty that it is in its tiny little pieces.
yes, that
And it
is
doesn't
very
matter if
special.
it's black, white, yellow, orange, purple, gay, straight, lesbian, it doesn't matter. You're a beautiful piece of fabric and you fit into our patchwork beautifully.
That is true. And also in if you know South Africa, you know the expression "shozoloza" is what the miners used to sing, and it means together forward. And I think if we all take hands and we give just one single person a little bit of hope every day, it is together forward. And we all have issues, health issues, mental issues, whatever. I definitely have them all myself as well. But quilting, because you balance your senses through your tactile, stimulating your tactile sense, the quilting definitely helps if you use your hands.
You
You can
really do.
free your brain.
And if nothing else, we focus on something so far from our lives because we are not unpicking that block.
Well, I make the girls do calculations when they quilt with me so that they can work out every block and how big to cut, and whether it's on a bias or whatever. And the one said to me, I am now so calculated. I cannot think about anything else.
I'm going to use that expression if you don't mind in my office. That's wonderful.
So it is, I think not the product so much as the process. And if we focus on the process, the products will be exquisite in any case.
Yeah. I just hope people see them as exquisite, because the number of times a client has brought a quilt in to me to be quilted and they go, don't look at this point and don't look at that point and don't look there. My seam's not right. I'm like, darling, it's beautiful. If you look at my face, there's wrinkles, there's things falling off. Not saying I'm beautiful, but it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. No, it is, I must say, it is, I do some stitching on the long arm as well. And some of the quilts, we call them patsies. You have to pat it down this side and pat it down that side.
I think anybody who has never long armed will never understand the terror in a person's face when they go and they measure the quilt. So I have, and I will never say her name, I have a client that brings me a quilt. So a quilt should be a piece of paper, call it a rectangle. And when the measurement there and the measurement there is 42 centimeters different, and then from there to there to there, I had 17 different measurements all the way along the quilt. And when you quilt it, it's got to be a rectangle. Otherwise, you're a bad log arm quilt. That was hard. That was hard. So that was why we now measure the quilt in 4 different places, up, down, sideways, everything, just so you know what you're getting into and how much gin to have before you start.
Yeah. But during COVID, I made a lot of memory quilts from people's fabrics and people that passed on their shirts and stuff for their families. And once again, the value of a quilt is much more than what you can really see. It is that love that that person can have if they wrap themselves. And so that is also very special, so I always make a quilt to be loved.
But I think every quilter does, because if you're making a charity quilt, you want that person to feel loved. If you're making it for your
Yes.
son 17 years later, mother, that's going to be so much love is going to go into that quilt as well. There's just, I think quilters are just fundamentally based so deeply in love, and that's why they're so special.
And it will never become a factory act.
It can't. It's impossible. Is there anything I haven't asked that you may want to say?
I would just like to thank you once again for doing this project and to give us all just a little voice.
You've got a much bigger voice than you think. And I cannot wait to see you. You're coming to festival?
I'm coming to festival.
Wonderful. Is it gin and tonic, or are we doing vodka? What are we doing?
Oh, tea.
Tea is fine. Mine will be a gin. So I look forward to a really long hug.
That's
and
fine.
cannot wait to see you.
No, I'm really looking forward, and thank you so much. Oh, John, you're such a wonderful person, and please take this clip out and play it to yourself over and over and over. I'm John Paul Morgan, is that right?
Yep.
And I love quilting, and I'm a wonderful person that makes a difference in somebody else's life every day.
It's the only reason I'm still here.
Okay.
And this literally, it's been a bit, people like you are, life gets harder than it needs to be. And if you keep going, you've got to keep going, and it's hard. And it's been a really tough year. And this project is like, literally, I can't wait. I've now got something completely different to focus on, and it's good. It's going to be fun.
It is wonderful. I'm so, so glad that we can also give you a big hug.
I can't wait. Thank you.
You are so special, and I'm reserving a special hug for you.
Cannot wait. Don't think I'm not going to rugby tackle you to the ground if I don't get it.
It's fine. But you must just hang in there. Okay.
It is. But the thing is, good or bad, nothing's forever. Nothing is forever,
Yeah.
good or bad, and it will always get better. Danel, thank you so much for joining us today. I am so grateful for your time and everything that you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you, John.
That brings us to the end of this installment. Join us again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, my name is Danel Muller. I'm from Pretoria in South Africa, and I made a quilt for voices in cloth called Hallelujah. I love music. I love chorals. And I was inspired by the chapel at Kylemore Abbey in Ireland. I hope you enjoy my quilt. Thank you.